G'day, mate. What's your name?
My name's Steph Broadbridge.
Steph Broadbridge. What do you do, Steph?
I do stand-up comedy and absolutely nothing else with my life.
G'day, welcome back to another episode of Crowdworkcast. My name's Andrew Barnett. Thank you very much for joining me. Got a great episode today. It's my mate Steph Broadbridge, who is let's call her a rising star of the Sydney comedy scene. She's very funny, and she's also my Sherpa into what's going on in open mics in Sydney, because no one works harder than Steph. She gigs all the time. She's go to any gig, do any gig. She's what we call a gig pig, but I don't know if that's a kind term, so we'll refrain from using that too much. But she's got a great new show. It's called Ignasia, that's coming to the Melbourne Comedy Festival, Gold Coast Laughs Festival and Sydney Comedy Festival. Details for that can be found on her Instagram, which is Steph Broadbridge, or her Twitter. If you go to Twitter, just search Steph Broadbridge, she'll come up. Very, very funny, a good follow on all her socials, and definitely worth going and checking out if she's coming anywhere near you. If you'd like to see me live, I will be coming to the Sydney Comedy Festival and Brisbane Comedy Festival in May. Details for that you can find on my Instagram, Andrew Barnett Comedy, or go to my website, andrewbarnettcomedy.com, or check out my Twitter, Mr. A. Barnett. Other than that, probably enough promo. Let's just crack on with the show. Here's me and Steph Broadbridge. Surely there's... Actually, you know what? Most people I'd say there's way more to your life than that. But
No.
you gig more than anyone I think I know. Would you say you do the most gigs in Sydney?
I don't think so. I think there's some sneaky
Sneaky gig pigs?
Sneaky overachievers that are flying under the radar. Yeah.
How long have you been going now?
It will be 7 years on the 30th of March.
7 years on the 30th of March. You're one of the, your first...
I do.
What was your first gig?
Oh, it was at Mug and Kettle.
Yep.
It's like a...
Old sign-up open mic room?
Yeah, everyone named in a bucket comes out of a list of names, and then you get on when you get on. I signed up by accident. I thought it was like a music open mic.
Are you serious? You didn't do comedy on purpose?
Well,
or
stand-up comedy open mics call themselves open mics, and so does music. Like, they're both industries are quite arrogantly assuming there's only one art form. So I just thought it was
just
music.
pull that mic a little closer to you. So yeah, you thought it was amusing. You thought it was a music open mic, and
then I got there and there was a bunch of really sad people talking. And then I realized it was comedy.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, my song's kind of quirky. Sometimes it gets a laugh or two. I'll just do that.
So this is a revelation to me. So you, Steph Broadbridge, who probably loves doing comedy more than, well, you have to love doing it the amount you do it, did it basically by accident.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. That's blowing my mind. I'm sorry. So you got up. So you went, okay, I'll do the quote. Which song was it? Would I have
so
seen
embarrassing. It was a song called How Am I Still Single, which I now know is called Hack, but at the time I didn't know that was a word or what that meant. So I sang that, and it's just me listing a bunch of horrible traits about myself that rhyme.
Is it like this? Okay, so we're gonna circle back to Hack, because I have a bit of a thing with Hack at the moment, where, like, I think it's very easy to see something you don't like or something you can't do that it's working and seems very simple, and everyone just goes, oh, that's Hack. Like, it's easy to be dismissive of something that you don't like or can't do as Hack. Why do you think that was Hack, what you were doing?
Because that's what people said about it.
Okay. People who can't play ukulele?
No, so the premise had been, so by Hack, I guess I mean stale. The idea is stale.
Yeah. So it's been like an idea that's been done before, but
yeah.
there's not heaps of ideas that haven't.
No, but it was an idea that had been done before in song form. I wasn't adding anything to the conversation. So I'm not against talking about being single as a woman, but and I'm not against what I did because I didn't know everyone else was doing it. I didn't watch that much comedy. I just thought it was funny. But it turns out it is funny, but so have a bunch of other people have also
had the same thought or
done that same trick of singing a song in a comedic way.
That's it does really blow my mind that. So why after that? So obviously it went well enough that you went, I want to learn to do this, or what was it about?
Okay. Yeah, I mean it wasn't great, but the laugh lines got laughs.
So what from there, from accidentally signing up to an open mic, a comedy open mic, thinking you're it's a music open mic, and then one deciding to go on with it anyway, not just because I mean, knowing that show, there would have been 40 odd open micers on. Like it wouldn't have been a big deal to the show if one open micer had said, "Oh, actually, I've made a mistake here. I'll pull out."
I brought 3 friends, so I couldn't pull out.
This is the best.
2 of them have never come back to comedy since.
Yeah, probably not the place to get introduced to comedy at a sign-up open mic.
I didn't know that's what it was going to be.
I know you didn't know. This is just so...
So the following week, I turned up with a different song.
So you just went, I'm going to keep doing this now?
Yeah, so I turned up with a different song because I just did songs for like the first year and a half. I didn't talk. I just did songs. And then I got booked by some of the early bookers, which back in the day were Mike in Hand and Seizure.
Yep,
Seizure Kaiser. And then I just got booked for other ones after that. And now I'm still getting booked, and I haven't given up on my dream to be a country and western singer, though. That still lives within me.
If only you could find a Tamworth open mic that's not a bloody comedy night.
Yeah, I would love that.
This is so because you are like, so to give context, you probably, how many gigs did you do last week?
Last week?
Yeah, we're recording this on a Sunday, so
last week I only did 5, so that was my bad week.
5.
Yeah.
So is that one a night for 5 nights, or did you do any double ups or?
Yeah, it was one a night for 5 nights. And then, there's not many gigs at the moment. It's the beginning of the year.
So, because I don't think people realise this. So you last night, you were in Newcastle.
Yeah.
So you went up. What was that gig?
At the Newcastle Comedy Club.
Newcastle Comedy Club.
Yeah.
So how long will you do it? Like
15.
15.
Yeah.
So you've driven.
I got 2 trains and a rail bus. 2
trains and a rail. Oh yeah, that's right. You don't drive, do you? So 2 trains and a rail bus.
There and back.
What time did you get back from Newcastle?
1:45.
And I'm guessing the pay wasn't huge. You don't say the figure, but I'm guessing the pay wasn't huge.
I mean, the money wasn't the incentive.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to get to is this. What blows my mind is you are one of the hardest workers I know you bristle whenever anyone gives you anything like a compliment like that, but you gig a lot, you work hard, you write a lot.
I try to, but also, it's a job, and also I look at what they're doing in New York and LA and stuff, and they're kicking my ass. I mean, I got a message from Anthony Skinner the other day who just said Shane Gillis does 5 gigs a night.
Yeah, but
I know, but I love stuff like that because it's so that's what I need,
But it's also like
1 a day is fine, but I mean, if that's your job, that's not that extraordinary. I mean, and some of them are only 4 minutes long.
Wow. So this is what I'm trying to get at though, is you this work ethic, treat it like a job, work hard, has come from someone whose first gig was like most comedians go really like I was fascinated a bit with comedy. I didn't want to, you accidentally came across it.
Yeah.
So how's that evolution work where you go from being like, I wanted to do a music open mic. Oh no, I'm at the wrong night. I'll get up anyway because my song's kind of funny. To this is what I want to dedicate my life to.
I mean, I just go where the work is. No, that's not fair. That's not true.
Steph, if you went where the work was, you wouldn't be doing comedy.
But I couldn't get booked in music. It was really hard. There's so many female singer-songwriters with asymmetrical haircuts singing about their sad boyfriends. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like a billion people. Whereas when I started in comedy, it's like, we don't have any women. Have a gig. They were thrown at me. Like, and I was so excited. I was like, you mean I can just do this every night if I want? And they're like, yeah. So I just did. And then I got addicted to the format of writing and the audience being attentive and the fact that you can yell at them if they're not listening. And
well, it's something in music you can't really do.
No, music's more passive. Yeah, and often the gigs I was getting were like background while people are eating at a restaurant. You're lucky if you get a clap at the end, So this was like performing times a billion.
This is, sorry, you've blown my mind early in the podcast. So let's go back then to the music side of it, because you and I did a gig maybe 4 nights ago where I think it was a new song you were.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's country and western style, and you have a really good country, like you have a really good voice as well. Which there's a lot of musical comedians, but it's not always necessary. Like, because with musical comedy, the jokes sort of are primary, and then the voice can be secondary. So you don't have to have that.
No, you can kind of talk, sing your way through it, or if you can hit the notes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want to.
But you have proper musical. So where does that come from? Are you trained? Are you?
Yeah, I did a jazz degree at ANU.
You did a jazz degree.
Yeah.
You really are into just fascinated by useless things, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
So you.
I would dedicate my life to anything that's going to cost me money and use a lot of my time.
That's so that's your safety. If comedy doesn't work out, you'll fall back on your jazz degree.
I mean, sure. Yeah. I can get lots of work from a jazz degree. Can't even finish that sentence with a straight face. Yeah, I don't know. It was stupid.
So where did you grow up? Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up like in the North Shore in Sydney.
North Shore of Sydney.
10 minutes away from where I live now.
Oh, so you really ventured out into the world. Have you travelled, or have you just always lived?
I've lived like around Sydney. I lived in Canberra for a few years at uni.
Oh yeah, and you of course. So what was it that drew? So you're always obviously younger. You liked music. What was it about a jazz degree that appealed to you?
Well, I don't like classical singing.
Yeah.
I mean, people are good at it or whatever. I just don't listen to it. And musical theatre didn't suit me. To do musical theatre, you have to dance.
Yeah.
Like, well.
Not a dancer?
No. I tried. I'm like, yeah, if I'd worked really, really hard at it, I would have been a very bad dancer. Like, but in musical theatre, a lot of the auditions, they audition the dance first.
Really?
Yeah. So even if you've got an amazing voice.
They're like, yeah, we've got lots of people with amazing voices.
Yeah, because the dancing's like... So I was like, this is crazy. I can't do this. So then I thought, well, what can I study that's not musical theatre and not classical? It's jazz. It's pretty close to blues and country. Like, it all kind of... Yeah, and I used to sing country songs at the jazz degree because it was like the forbidden music. So I would sing country songs for my graduations and recitals and stuff.
Oh, really? So what's a music degree? Like, what's that entail? Like is it performance? Is it theory? Is it what?
Yeah, it's
a bit of both.
Yeah.
Wow.
Transcribing, so you got to listen to music and write down the notes on a page.
Man,
there was history, which I failed.
So you got the degree, and then the plan was to try to go into performance?
I don't know what the plan was. I think. Oh, I think I thought I was at that stage. Like, I was still young then, you know. I could have been something.
You could still be something, Steph.
I was like, I wanted to write my own music and yeah, go do all the festivals and have a band. I wanted to play with a band.
You wanted to play with a band. So, because I'm just trying to piece together a little bit of what drives you, what you're like basically attracted to in terms of how to spend your time. You did a jazz degree. Now you basically just want something that keeps you in small dark rooms late at night. Is that what appeals? Like, is it the grittiness that appeals to you?
I do like the grittiness. I don't know. I like performing.
You like performing? Yeah, well. Yeah, I get that. So, and it just...
Like, sometimes when I wasn't getting that many gigs for music, I'd be getting really, really, like, sad. And then I'd just go do karaoke on my own. And then I'd be okay. That would sustain me for, like, a month.
Like, so I'm guessing not in one of those where you just get it room yourself.
No, it has
you
to
go
be.
To a karaoke night.
I go to a karaoke night. I upset the locals.
I was going to say, you ruin it.
I do ruin it.
For people like me. There's nothing worse at a karaoke night for us hack singers who just get up there and live on a prayer.
No. I'm sober. I've learnt the lyrics.
Yeah.
I practiced with the backing track at home.
My favourite is when you get up there and it says at the start, the title of the song, and then it'll say the key that it's in. And for most of us, I'm like, oh yeah, it's in D, is it? Cool. I don't know what that means. And then just try and sing it the way but people like you, because there's nothing better at a karaoke night than watching people just passionate but not very good. That gives you the idea that, oh yeah, man, well, I'm going to give it a crack, because like I can be passionate and not very good. And then you get someone like you who gets up there with their jazz degree and just that is so mean.
But I don't anymore.
Oh.
Because I'm getting my fill from something else, but I use,
It'd be like, you know what that's like?
Why should I be penalised for studying the subject? No, that's outrageous. I know that it's not for that. It was selfish and mean. And it was even worse because these poor women, that was all they had in their lives. Do you know, like, this was their big... Because they're pretty good singers.
Yeah.
Like, there was a few... So there was some that were, like, quite attractive, but just a little bit pitchy.
Yep.
Just didn't quite... A little bit shrill. There was something a bit off with the voice. They looked like a pop star, but it was just a little bit shrill, and they would always come and they'd be the star of karaoke. Or there was the girls that definitely will never, ever be pop stars, but they had a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
And that was kind of who would come, and that was their domain, and they had their songs.
That was their chance to shine.
Yeah, and they always sing that Black Velvet song.
Oh, yeah.
It's always that song. Yeah.
I know that song. Who is that? Is that Black Velvet? Is that... I want to say Melissa Etheridge, but I don't think it is.
I don't know, but I just know that that's the song they sing.
Oh,
and they nail the shit out of it. Like, they're great, but I would just come in and sing.
What was your go-to?
Pony by Casey Chambers.
Pony by Casey Chambers. I don't think I know Pony.
That's okay. No one does. It's not a crowd favorite.
Give me a couple of bars.
No. Yeah.
Okay. Well, pause this. Go listen to Pony by Casey Chambers.
It's a great song.
Then come back and picture, instead of Casey, that Steph was doing it.
Yeah, or just come to a karaoke night. Eventually, I'll be at it.
Yeah, there's a few comedians that like a karaoke night.
Yeah.
And you'd ruin it for everyone.
I don't ruin it.
That's so funny that you used to do that. But I get the instinct though. But that's like that's like, Chris Rock just dropping by like a mug and kettle.
Yeah.
Where everyone's having fun thinking...
But that wouldn't ruin it. That would make it better.
For the audience?
Yeah.
Yeah, not for the other participants.
Right.
Well, they'd all talk about how they gig. Yeah,
well, that's a
probably
very
not a great
different
analogy.
Conversation then. Because, I mean, if they're... If they're doing comedy for them and not for the audience, then they're not doing it properly.
Yeah, well, there's lots of people not doing it properly, Steph. You know that. So you go to uni, do the jazz degree.
Yeah.
What are you doing out of uni? Just trying to gig around? What are you doing for work? That sort of thing.
I worked for Ticketmaster for like 10 years, and then I just did gigs as many as I could. Not that many, like one a fortnight I think I was getting, supplemented by karaoke, and then
At your peak, how many karaoke nights were you hitting?
Well, if there was like a competition, you'd have to go back for like the heats and the semis and the final and stuff. So that was like a few.
Did you win any?
Nah, I came second and third one time. I got a bottle of wine or something. I don't know. Like,
Who
they had
beat you?
costumes and stuff. Oh man, like there's like professional karaoke people.
Really? Like,
Yeah,
what do you
yeah,
mean
yeah.
they had costumes?
Like they would dress up in an outfit. Like they dress as Elvis, and do an Elvis song. Yeah, it's like it's a whole thing. I was nowhere near as good as them.
There's an Elvis impersonator who lives not far from he lives in my local area. I don't know exactly where he lives, but he has because he's got the van, he's got the advertising for it on the side. But it's so funny to see him in the supermarket because you can't be a professional Elvis impersonator and not all the time have the
so
hair.
the hair's for life.
Yeah, the hair's
Oh.
he had so you just see him in the supermarket just buying broccoli or whatever, and is that the king? Nah, it's just a guy who drives a Toyota Tarago.
Does he manage to turn the voice off?
I don't. Well, he doesn't do the accent. I know that much. But apparently, he's very active on the local Facebook group. My wife tells me.
What a sentence.
That's because the areas that I don't know, like suburbs living in, and it's the postcode that you live in, and apparently he's my wife was telling me, because I'm not on air, I don't look at any of that stuff, but apparently she was telling me people get angry at him because he just advertises a bit, and this is not your advert, but then he's also very passionate about local issues, so.
Oh no, he'd get kicked out of Open Mic Sydney for doing that.
Is Open Mic Sydney a bit?
That's the Open Mic sign up Facebook page. If anyone's thinking about doing comedy, then they should.
And it's comedy open mic, not.
It is comedy, guys. It doesn't say it anywhere, but it is. If you read the files, it's got all the open mics you can sign up in.
So Open Mic Sydney. Are you an admin on that?
I'm not telling.
Surely you're an admin. Are you an admin?
It doesn't serve me for people to know either way. So
she's an admin. That's so Open Mic Sydney.
It's a lot of wrangling crazy, so it's an important job.
Yeah, the open mic scene is well, I think anywhere is probably pretty wild.
It's just there's like 3,500 people or something.
Are you serious? 3,500?
Yeah, it's crazy, like huge numbers, and there's about 1,000 of them that will have an opinion on a subject. And I have not seen a single one of these people at an open mic the entire time I've been doing comedy, but they have the strongest opinions about what an open mic should be and what the rules should be. You say anything in there and it just blows up.
What like rules? What are we? This is also fascinating. So so you're 7 years. I've been going 13 years. And so when I first started, it wasn't like there weren't sign-up rooms. There weren't open mic. Like it was, my first gig was the mic in hand.
All right.
Because that was like you'd sort of get that it maybe have one or two newbies open micers on a lineup.
Yeah.
In most of the things. So that back then it was hard to get spots. I did my first gig at mic in hand, and my second gig in mic in hand was 2 years later.
Whoa.
It took forever to get back on there, but it was good, and like you had to sort of find your gigs or whatever. So this whole that mug and kettle scene all popped up like after I was sort of getting enough gigs
already established. Yeah.
And I went down and did it a few times. I went and hosted. I remember hosting it for because I was talking to Sam and Dan, and I just said, what's the story? Like, am I able to just come by and try some new stuff? And like, yeah, man, like, you know, just let us know, because it was very much draw your name out of a hat and you could go on at any time.
Yeah.
I said, just let us know when you will just put you, so you don't have to sit there all night. I know.
See,
special treatment.
That kind of treatment, that will blow up.
Yeah, but whatever. I'm not sitting there all night watching.
I didn't sign up on the night open mic a couple of weeks ago on Thursday, and my name got drawn out first. Ooh. And you should have seen the eyes follow me. I'm like, I swear it did.
You don't necessarily want to be first on at any gig, but I suppose that means you get to leave. And
yeah, there was like 47 acts.
What?
Yeah.
Who's sticking? Well, I suppose it's an audience.
I did 42nd the other night. So, I mean, it's just random, but I know everyone would, not everyone, but I know there were like people going, she pushed in.
That's so funny.
She pushed in. She thinks she's so good. It's a lot of that. But yeah, so yeah, pushing in more established acts, that's a big drama in the open mic Sydney scene. This is so inside. Is this terrible to talk about?
No, this is fascinating. This is interesting to me.
Yeah, okay. So from the perspective of the booker, they're like, we like to sprinkle comedians that are decent because it helps the crowd stay around.
Yeah.
Because if you have 3 terrible ones in a row, then they get tired and they leave. So to retain the audience, sometimes the bookers will be like, hey, I'm just going to chuck you in now to try and make it a little bit more fun. But the ones that wouldn't be considered the fixers, they think that that's disgusting. And why should they be bumped when they got there at 7:30 and signed up like they were supposed to? So yeah, it's like, that's a really fun drama if you want to like debate that.
Wow.
And the open mic, if you post about that on the open mic Sydney scene, that will get like 800 comments in about half an hour.
I've just realised I must have given the shits to some open micers over the years, because yeah,
there's at least 100 comedians in Sydney right now that hate me, probably, you know.
Comedians or actual, like,
I don't know, but just like people hate you.
Really? Far out. See, this is the thing. Because I missed that entry.
The underground.
I'm not, and because I'll often say to you, like, I'll go do different rooms, that, you know, because like just the other day, you and I did a gig together, and I was talking about, I need to find some places just to run new stuff.
Yeah.
And so you just sent me a list of rooms. To go to and said,
but that was a U level list of rooms.
Oh, so there's more.
I curated that for you.
Really?
Yeah. I did not.
So there's better rooms that I'm not good enough for yet?
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a bottom end that I know you would not do, that I didn't bother telling you about.
Don't be so sure I wouldn't do it. Like, I also love seeing what's going on in the world. Like, I love a weird evening.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, I can give you the second list.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Let me get through the first list before we go to the second list.
See how you go with the first list.
We'll see how that one goes. So there's because this is fascinating, and it's not just like, because one of the things I am genuinely fascinated about is these little subcultures that exist within a subculture. Because comedy's like, in any given place, the comedy scene is is a subculture, but within the comedy scene, then there's own little sort of groups and subcultures that are.
And the bigger it gets, the more little factions there are. That just seems to be part of what happens. So, but there's still an overarching community of people.
Yeah,
I would say
100%.
generally speaking, it's a very welcoming environment. Sydney specifically is very welcoming.
Yeah.
I'm always excited to see new people having a go. There's not, it feels like it's quite a fair system most of the time as well. Just, if you're good enough, you can headline or MC. Whereas I think Melbourne has a lot of, high profile acts. So I think the transition is a little bit harder.
That was the thing. First time I ever gigged in Melbourne, I was on just a midweek room. Dave O'Neill has this great midweek room, and apologise, Dave, I can't remember the name of the pub at the moment, but I'd worked with him at Wollongong, and he said, mate, if you're ever down, let me know, and I'll, gig. So I was just going through on a family holiday, and I happened to be in town on the night. So he goes, yeah, come on, I'll come do 20 minutes at my room. But the lineup was, so Dave hosts every week. I think it's called Dave O'Neill's Comedy Funhouse. If you're in Melbourne and you want a good night, check out his Facebook page because you'll find all the details, and it's always really good acts. But this is intimidating for me because I was maybe 4 or 5 years in. So I was sort of getting there, knew what I was doing. I was at the store quite a bit, but I wasn't. But then I'm on with Limo, who was doing breakfast radio at the time and had to do, so he was booked to headline. Dave hosts it every week, and he's phenomenal. Yeah. And then the special guest was Glenn Robbins.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. So this is the caliber. I'm just looking around going, how? This is a midweek room in a pub. How, if you're not at that level, how do you get stage time in Melbourne? That was the thing that really fascinated me, because it makes sense. All the guys that are established, they still want to work out, they still want to do their stuff, they still want to perform. I mean, there's not karaoke for comedy, so they need to they need to find somewhere to perform. And that was intimidating because that was literally what happened that night. Was because Limo had to do breakfast radio, then they were filming Utopia the next day. Dave, being the world's nicest man, said, mate, if you don't want to have to be here all night, why don't you just headline, you do the first half, and then Glenn, you and Andrew, you guys, can do the second half, work out who wants to go where. And Glenn just looks at me and goes, oh mate, I don't do enough stand up to close, I don't want to close.
You headlined that show?
No, I didn't headline that show. Oh God, did I not headline that show. I added 20 surplus minutes onto the end of what was an amazing show.
You headlined that show?
I did not headline that show.
You went last year headline?
It was literally after, because Glenn Robbins, he's saying to me, he goes, oh, I'm only doing this as a favour to Dave. And we're sitting having a feed beforehand, and he's telling a story that day, and I had in my head, it was the funniest story, just something that happened to him that day. I'm like, man, is he running material? No, it just is how he just knows how to tell a story.
Wow.
In the funny. So then he goes to me, I don't do enough stand up, I shouldn't really be doing this, I don't do it enough. It's not something, I respect it too much, you can't just dip in and out. And I'm like, oh, okay, it was weird because he seemed nervous. Yeah. And I think he actually was nervous, but not in a way that was inhibited. He was just like, oh,
he knew how to be on stage.
And literally went out and slayed for 20 minutes. And as Dave goes up, after Glenn comes off, there's people, women are getting their handbags and putting things it's like everyone's fishing their keys out and ready, because they thought the night was over.
Of course.
And then, no, stay there, guys. Here's 20 minutes from some guy from Sydney who's literally 20 minutes of good stuff was all I had. And I was like, if some of this doesn't fly, then I'm doing 18. Yeah. It was the most intimidating night.
That's the worst part, when you start doing those longer spots and you have to go at the end, because you're like, I've got 20 minutes, and if anyone steps on any one of these jokes, I still only have that 20 minutes.
Yeah. If they're not on board, it's gonna get awkward for all of us.
Yeah, well, so I think Sydney's kind of fair in that way.
Yeah, well, if you can demonstrate capability,
then you can have the gig. It's basically how it works.
And I'm sure there is that in Melbourne as well.
Yeah.
But you're right in that there's more comedians live there that have profile. Yeah. For whatever reason. And
it's going to move tickets. It makes sense.
Yeah.
If Celia Piccola's on your bill, that's going to sell better than Stephanie Broadbridge no one's ever heard of. I get it. No, I'm not suggesting we're the same level, but I just mean
But it means that for someone who is coming through in Melbourne, who's in that learning phase, then you sort of don't get to climb as quickly.
Yeah, I think the gap's bigger.
Yeah, and I'd imagine it's harder to make sure you're on solid lineups or whatever, because but I
think it's pretty much skill based in Sydney most of the time. I mean, obviously there's politics and there's a lot less politics than people think there are, but
well, there's not less politics than I think there are, because
Really?
you will always have a story for me about something that's going on in the
oh
scene.
yeah.
You're my
I love a bit of gossip.
you're my go-to for like, you're like, oh, did you hear about this? I'm like, I never hear about anything, Steph. You know that. But I love because you are so plugged in. Because the other thing I like that,
I think it's just my eyes light up when someone tells me something.
but the other thing I like about you, like your work ethic, is you're not someone who goes, okay, I got to this level, I'm not going to do that room, I'm not going to do this room, I'm not like,
No.
you will go, okay, I want a stage time to run this material.
Yeah.
And doesn't matter the stage, and it doesn't matter, which I think is a very healthy way to get to the point where you can basically, like, my outlook is, and this is one of the things I love. I had Mickey D on here.
Love Mickey D.
Well, yeah, one of the things I love about Mickey is I've often said Mickey's my guy that if you said to me there's an audience in there, we're
Yeah.
going to murder you and your family if one of your comedians doesn't make them laugh. And
Yeah.
all you get to know is there's an audience in there.
Yeah.
No type. Mickey's the kind of guy you go, okay, well, Mickey's a safe bet because he works it out. You throw him in any room, he'll work it out.
You're my go-to for that.
Yeah, I'm no Mickey D like that.
I'm just saying, I've actually used that, not such an extreme violent example, but I'm like, if you don't know who's going to be there, yeah, you got to go Barnett.
Thank you. That's nice. But that's kind of one of the things I without thinking about it, that's because I think that comes from fear of failing. Is like, okay,
Yeah. Also, we've done a lot of like weird gigs together. Like we did the seniors concert.
Oh, we got more of those coming up.
I know.
I just was looking in my calendar
So
today.
I've seen you like succeed in situations a comedian shouldn't have. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm trying every gig I try to think about the audience is one, especially if they come knowing it's a comedy show, they're there wanting to have a good time.
yeah, that's true.
So my thing is I'm without changing what I'm doing or what I'm saying.
It's just an attitude, right?
Finding a way to let them access my point of view. So to get them to where, because if you walk on stage at a seniors thing, and sometimes they might be a bit, or it doesn't matter what it is, they straight away have an impression of you. If you can find a way to connect with them and then just get your material over.
This is a safe space to make fun of seniors. They don't listen to podcasts.
Oh, I know that. But
You get there and they're not facing the right direction. They've come for the free coffee and sandwiches.
yeah. Oh, mate, I've done some. I did a set off the back of one of those. I had to do a set.
Oh, you got scouted at a seniors concert?
Oh, actually, this is the best story. I got it was like a Monday morning, and I just dropped my son off to school, and it was like I had a day off, and then I get this phone call from the guy that books those, just saying, listen, I had Peter Burner for this thing. He's got COVID. Can you go?
Sure he did.
Fill in. and so I had to get, and it was a council's seniors forum information day. There was speakers about everything from osteo to whatever.
I'm surprised you weren't already there.
Yeah. I'm not that old, but so there's like pamphlets and speakers and the mayor's there and everything, and they just thought it'd be fun to have 15 minutes worth of comedy at the start. So there's like desks in the big room. There's some chairs facing where the mayor was going to open the day, and then but round the back there's all desks of people with like at a conference or something like a convention, of hawking their wares, and then just everyone sit for 10 minutes. We're going to have some fun. And it was, I actually got work off the back of it, I'll be honest, but it was one of those situations I'm like, how did this end up? This wasn't what I pictured when I thought, I'm going to go into comedy.
Yeah. No. For sure.
but that's exactly what you were talking about. Like, as I'm on stage, there's people down the back, chatting to the people at the desks about, oh, and how do I get this Life Alert bracelet? Like, it's...
Yeah.
And then they'd sort of, and it's starting to work because you get a few laughs, and then people at the back start, like looking up, turning around, talk, and then you're like, oh man, I've got them here. But then you lose them as quick because as soon as they're not interested, they're back to talking about. And it's the greatest barometer of have I got this crowd or haven't I? Is the guy selling timeshares in a nursing home?
Outstaging you.
Yeah, is he back to his sales pitch? It was
but all that, like, because I don't know, it is a really fun job, and there can be a lot of glamour to it. Like, I'm not going to pretend that sometimes it's not incredible, but
because you've opened for some big acts.
One, I opened for, well, sort of. I did 5 minutes before 2 opening acts for Jim Jeffries. So I opened for Fatty Kassab, if I'm being honest.
You did not.
But it was at the State Theatre.
Yeah. You've walked on stage and done comedy at the State Theatre.
Yeah. That was huge for me because I used to work there at the box office. So
oh, wow.
That was a big deal.
That's so good.
That was a real life fantasy coming true.
And how'd it go?
So weirdly fine. I was...
I bet you crushed. You are one of these people who you will go up, absolutely slay, and come off and go,
No, it wasn't. It was just more like given the circumstances, it went well. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's a cold open. I'm female.
Don't apologise for that.
I'm not apologising for that. I'm just mindful of the crossover.
Well, it's not
a fan base.
Not necessarily your audience.
Yeah, but weirdly, it kind of is, and I'm having to learn that.
Yes.
That's what I learned, because I've opened for him twice now in different situations, and both times went quite well, and now I'm like, is this my demo?
Yeah, that is something that I think you don't always know who your audience are going to be.
Yeah.
Because it can be very like I've often said, like, if I'm doing a gig, I don't like to spend too much time with the audience or seeing the audience before the gig, especially if like it's
I like to sit there and stare them down.
You really?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it.
I want to watch them walk in. I want to watch how they're talking to each other. I want to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah. See, I'd prefer, like, I don't mind seeing them, but I spend too long, like, especially like I'm thinking like at a footy lunch or doing a sports lunch or something like that, too long looking at them without interacting or whatever, I start to get in my head. I'm like, look at this bloke, he hasn't got time for my bullshit.
Oh no, it's never positive. It's always a negative thing to do.
Yeah.
I did it on the gig we did together. I turned up. I didn't think I even said hi to anyone. I just started scanning the room for problems. So what I was going to say, like, it is glamorous stand up, but the times where it's absolutely terrible and rough, and then you all of a sudden remember you have a skill that you learnt the last time it was really rough, and you can pull that out and it works.
Yeah.
Those moments, I think, are more important and more valuable and feel better than any kind of fun gig.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
turning it around, like when you're the one that gets them on the lineup, like when the night's terrible and then you're like, I got him.
that is a nice feeling. Yeah. When everyone's struggling, and then all of a sudden you go up and you've worked it. You just worked out how to click with that audience.
Yeah, sometimes you just know. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very satisfying feeling.
Yeah.
And very frustrating when you're the person who's been on just before the person who gets them.
Or just after as well. It's the worst.
Yeah, because sometimes if you're just after, you will go on with the assumption, they're good audience now. It's like, no, they're
person. Still bad. They just liked that one. And now you know that they could have laughed.
Yeah.
Because if they were just bad, then you go, it's just a bad crowd for everyone. But it's like, no, they were winnable, just not for you.
Yeah, That's the thing. The other thing I think with comedy is like, that glamour. Sometimes you get that glamour. But then, so last time you opened for Jim Jeffries, State Theatre. Yeah. What was the gig you did? What was the next gig you did after that?
I did a sign up on the night open mic at a front bar at the Newtown Hotel, at the Townie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like how quick that gap between you're in the State Theatre to then you're just one of a bunch of people who got drawn out of a hat. And if you cut in line, that
Yeah, I would never.
that's people getting
I would
the
never
shits.
cut in line.
Well, because you read the Facebook groups.
Yeah.
You're I can't believe there's 3,000 open
I may or may not be an admin.
You are. I think you're an admin. I think she's an admin. Who are they? Who are, like, that is... I'm fascinated with this. So what sort of stuff gets, other than just open mic etiquette, what sort of stuff gets discussed on this? Just where the gigs are? Like, I wouldn't think to go there for anything other than finding out where a gig is.
Well, it's supposed to be just sign-ups, but people kind of carry on. So complaints, just rubbish. Just someone new going, "Hi, I'm new to stand-up. Where are all the rooms?" And it's like, no, we don't post that because then people will troll you. And
oh, wow.
yeah, you just kind of, you got to keep it clean.
This is... I'm going to go... I think I've found how I'm spending the afternoon.
It's been pretty... Yeah, we've been pretty strict lately. It's been all right. But,
We've been pretty strict lately.
Yeah.
This is so good. You are an admin for sure. Oh, my God. So, hey, now the other thing I wanted to ask you about, you teach a bit of comedy.
Oh, no, not really. I just fill in sometimes.
What is this?
It's just random things I'll just fill in. I have teacher energy, so sometimes if people can't do their teaching job, they'll just be like, Steph can probably fill in.
Okay, so you are my avatar to the you're the Sherpa through the open mic scene in Sydney. If there's anyone out there who is thinking of doing comedy, listening to this, or is just starting out,
Yeah.
I need you to give me 3 things that they should and shouldn't do.
Oh.
To like, what's your bit of advice? To say I'm starting tomorrow, I'm going to go down,
Yeah.
I'm going to find a sign up, I'm going to start. What are the faux pas that I need to avoid, and what are the things you say, like, that'll help?
What will help? Do's first, I would say, turn up on time, smile, be polite. Yeah, that's the main one.
Yep.
Just be polite, smile, be happy to be there. Bring some
Be happy
friends
to be there. You're telling me be happy to be there.
early on, because you don't have a good set yet. All you have to offer is the excitement that we can then just suck your energy dry like energy vampires. That's what you're providing. So you can provide good energy. You can provide an audience because you still have friends that will come and watch.
Yep.
So bring that. And then also you'll way more likely get booked if we think that you're a bringer. It's like, oh yeah, put so-and-so on because they brought 5 friends last time. We might have an audience for this next week, So there's that. And then the third thing is keep working on that same set. Don't try to write a new one every time. That's a mistake a lot of people make when they start out. They're the big 3.
Yep.
Don't take up room. Don't take up too much room in the space. There's a lot of standing by the door, being in the way. Don't do one gig and then act like an entitled little prick and assume that you're the best thing that ever happened to comedy. And don't bitch about people because you don't know who knows who.
Yes.
Yeah. They're the big 3.
The big 3.
I guess.
Well done.
Is that helpful?
That is, well, yeah. I imagine that'd be very helpful bits of advice. That is the thing, I think, and you said at the start, is the best thing you can be is, like, especially early on, is just a good energy, good...
Yeah.
If you can be...
Be on
good,
time, be polite, don't bomb.
If you can be good company.
Yeah.
Because most of the time in comedy, I think what people don't realise is most of your time in comedy, especially early on, is waiting to go on stage with the other comics.
Yeah.
And hanging with the other comics, waiting for the gig to start, waiting for the break to finish. So if you're good company in those moments, that's when people want to keep working with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That stuff matters way more than people think it does. Yeah. Crushing only feels good for you. Bookers don't care if you crush. They care if you bomb, but they don't care if you do extremely well. You just need to do fine and be, like, good company. That will get you way more gigs.
Good advice. Now, coming up, before we go, because we're about time,
Mm-hmm.
coming up, your last year went to Melbourne, your first show
Yes.
at Melbourne Comedy Festival, came back with a nomination for Best Newcomer.
Yes, I did.
You're heading back again.
I am.
Just give everything you've got a plug before we go. This is going to be out tomorrow.
Okay, I'm doing a new show. It's called Ignasia, which is meaningless, but it's called that, and I'm stuck with it. I'm doing one at the Gold Coast Laughs Festival.
Yep.
I'll be at Melbourne International Comedy Festival again, and hopefully Sydney as well.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, I'll put dates and stuff on my Instagram,
Which is?
is Steph Broadbridge, I think.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't Instagram me, but yeah, if you put my name in, I'll come up. It's a picture of me.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Wow. You are good at promotion,
Thank you
Steph.
so much.
Wow.
I'm really successful. Follow my Twitter if you want like inside baseball Sydney scene shit.
That is
kicking off.
definitely Sydney. I think that's what I'm going to subtitle this episode.
Yeah.
Sydney scene shit. Because you are my gateway to all that stuff. I don't ever know what's going on.
Oh,
It's
well.
always fascinating to know what's going on in the comedy world.
I'm delighted to be it for you.
But thank you very much for doing this, Steph.
Yeah, it was fun.
Excellent. Give Steph a follow on her Instagram if you can find it, because she doesn't know what it is. As always, Andrew Barnett Comedy on Instagram. I will put a clip of this in there and tag Steph, so you should be able to find her from there. Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.